Welcome to Quiz Time. My name is Anne, and I will be your host for this historical events quiz. Good luck. Which event marked the beginning of World War II? The invasion of Poland, the attack on Pearl Harbor, or the Battle of Britain? The invasion of Poland. Who was the first emperor of Rome? Julius Caesar, Augustus, or Nero? Augustus. What was the main cause of the American Civil War? Taxation, economic differences, or slavery? Slavery. The Mesopotamian civilization built the pyramids. True or false? False. What year did the Titanic sink? 1910, 1912, or 1915? (1912). Who was the British Prime Minister during World War II? Neville Chamberlain, Winston Churchill, or Clement Attlee? Winston Churchill. What year did the Berlin Wall fall? 1987, 1989, or 1991? (1989). Who discovered America in 1492? Ferdinand Magellan, Amerigo Vespucci, or Christopher Columbus? Christopher Columbus. Which battle is considered Napoleon's final defeat? The Battle of Waterloo, the Battle of Trafalgar, or the Battle of Leipzig? The Battle of Waterloo. Who was the first President of the United States? George Washington. Which document, signed in 1215, limited the power of the English monarch? The Magna Carta. Who led the Indian independence movement against British rule? Mahatma Gandhi, Subhas Chandra Bose, or Jawaharlal Nehru? Mahatma Gandhi. Which war was triggered by the assassination of Franz Ferdinand? The Franco-Prussian War, World War I, or World War II? World War I. In which year did the United States land the first man on the moon? 1965, 1969, or 1972? 1969. Which was the main purpose of the Marshall Plan after World War II? To rebuild Europe's economy, to establish the UN, or to dismantle the Soviet Union? to rebuild Europe's economy? Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, or Thomas Jefferson? Thomas Jefferson. Which event started the French Revolution in 1789? The execution of Louis XVI, the storming of Bastille, or the tennis court oath? The storming of Bastille. Which empire was known for its communication system in South America? Inca, Aztec, or Maya? Inca. What was the main result of the Industrial Revolution? The rise of factories and mechanized manufacturing. Who was the leader of the Soviet Union during the Cuban Missile Crisis? Leonid Brezhnev, Joseph Stalin, or Nikita Khrushchev? Nikita Khrushchev. Which treaty ended World War I? The Treaty of Versailles, the Treaty of Paris, or the Treaty of Ghent? The Treaty of Versailles. What year did the Russian Revolution take place? In 1917. Who was the longest reigning British monarch before Queen Elizabeth II? Queen Victoria, King George III, or Queen Elizabeth I? Queen Victoria. What was the main purpose of the Great Wall of China? To demarcate territories, to protect against invasions, or to promote trade? To protect against invasions. Who was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean? Bessie Coleman, Harriet Quimby, or Amelia Earhart? Amelia Earhart. Which battle marked the turning point of the American Revolution? The Battle of Saratoga. What was the primary reason for the Protestant Reformation? Political instability, religious corruption, or economic disparity? Religious corruption. Which ancient city was destroyed by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD? Athens, Rome, or Pompeii? Pompeii. What was the main cause of the 30 Years' War? Religious conflict, territorial disputes, or economic collapse? Religious conflict. Who was the first person to circumnavigate the globe? Ferdinand Magellan. What year did the Berlin Wall go up, dividing East and West Berlin? 1945, 1950, or 1961? 1961. Who was the Chinese philosopher that emphasized personal morality? Lao Tzu, Confucius, or Sun Tzu? Confucius. Which event marked the end of the Cold War? The fall of the Berlin Wall, Cuban Missile Crisis, or Korean War armistice? The fall of the Berlin Wall. Who was the first female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom? Theresa May, Margaret Thatcher, or Angela Merkel? Margaret Thatcher. Which treaty ended the American Revolutionary War? The Treaty of Versailles, the Treaty of Ghent, or the Treaty of Paris? The Treaty of Paris. Which pharaoh is known for his intact tomb discovered in 1922? Tutankhamun, Akhenaten, or Ramses II? Tutankhamun. Who was the main architect of the German unification in the 19th century? Frederick the Great, Otto von Bismarck, or Wilhelm II? Otto von Bismarck. What event is known as the start of the Great Depression in the United States? The Dust Bowl, the New Deal, or the Wall Street crash of 1929? The Wall Street crash of 1929. Which explorer successfully reached the South Pole first? Roald Amundsen, Robert Falcon Scott, or Ernest Shackleton? Roald Amundsen. In which year did the Wright brothers achieve the first powered flight? 1901, 1903, or 1905? 1903. Which below event is often considered the beginning of the Renaissance? The fall of Constantinople, the Black Death, or the invention of the printing press? The invention of the printing press. What was the main purpose of the Lewis and Clark expedition? To explore the Louisiana Territory. What was the main goal of the Marshall Plan? To establish NATO, to end the Korean War, or to rebuild European economies after World War II? To rebuild European economies after World War II. What historical event does D-Day refer to? The invasion of Normandy during World War II. What significant event took place on July 20th, 1969? The signing of the Civil Rights Act, the first human landing on the moon, or the end of the Vietnam War? The first human landing on the moon. Which historical event is the Magna Carta associated with? The limitation of the powers of the English monarchy. What event is associated with the phrase, "Remember the Alamo"? The Texas Revolution, the Mexican-American War, or the Spanish-American War? The Texas Revolution. What significant event took place at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina in 1903? First successful powered flight, first transatlantic flight, or first human space flight? First successful powered flight. Which events marked the beginning of the women's suffrage movement in the US? The Seneca Falls Convention, the founding of the NASA, or the ratification of the 19th Amendment? The Seneca Falls Convention. What event is known as the Trail of Tears? The forced relocation of Native American tribes. What event is the Gettysburg Address associated with? The start of the Civil War, the dedication of the cemetery, or the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation? The dedication of a cemetery. Which below events marked the end of the Roman Republic and the beginning of the Roman Empire? The assassination of Julius Caesar, the defeat of Hannibal, or the reign of Nero? The assassination of Julius Caesar. What events marked the start of the Great Fire of London in 1666? A lightning strike, an earthquake, or a bakery fire? A bakery fire. What was the main achievement of the Apollo 2 mission in 1969? The first human landing on the moon. Which below events marked the beginning of the Industrial Revolution? Steam engine invention, discovery of electricity, or Magna Carta signing? Steam engine invention. Which event is known as Black Tuesday? The stock market crash of 1929, the beginning of Dust Bowl, or the attack on Pearl Harbor? The stock market crash of 1929. What event triggered the start of the Protestant Reformation? The Treaty of Westphalia signing, the founding of the Jesuit order, or Martin Luther's 95 Theses? Martin Luther's 95 Theses. What was the primary purpose of the Berlin Conference of 1884-1885? To establish the League of Nations, to end World War I, or to divide Africa among European powers? To divide Africa among European powers. What significant event is the Emancipation Proclamation associated with? It abolished slavery in the Confederate States. Which events marked the beginning of the space age? The launch of Sputnik 1, the moon landing, or the first manned spaceflight? The launch of Sputnik 1. What historical event is the sinking of the Lusitania associated with? The beginning of World War II, the Spanish-American War, or the entry of the United States into World War I? The entry of the United States into World War I. What was the main objective of the Manhattan Project? To develop nuclear power plants? To create the first atomic bomb? Or to establish NASA? To create the first atomic bomb. Who was the first person to reach the summit of Mount Everest? George Mallory, Edmund Hillary, or Reinhold Messner? Edmund Hillary. Which city was the capital of the Byzantine Empire? Constantinople, Athens, or Rome? Constantinople. What was the main result of the Glorious Revolution in England? The end of absolute monarchy. In which year did Nelson Mandela become the president of South Africa? 1990, 1994, or 1998? (1994). Which country was the first to grant women the right to vote in 1893? The United States, New Zealand, or Finland? New Zealand. What was the main cause of the Opium Wars between Britain and China? Territorial disputes, religious conflicts, or trade imbalances in opium trade? Trade imbalances in opium trade. Who discovered penicillin in 1928? Alexander Fleming. Which explorer is credited with discovering the sea route to India? Christopher Columbus, Ferdinand Magellan, or Vasco da Gama? Vasco da Gama. What was the primary purpose of the Great Pyramid of Giza? A tomb for the pharaoh, an astronomical observatory, or a temple for worship? A tomb for the pharaoh. Which ancient civilization is known for the Code of Hammurabi? The Babylonians. Who was the last emperor of China? Puyai, Qianlong, or Yongle? Puyai. What was the main cause of the Great Famine in Ireland in the 1840s? Drought, potato blight, or flooding? Potato blight. Which event is known as the Scramble for Africa? European colonization and division of Africa. was the first Secretary General of the United Nations? Dag Hammarskjöld, U Thant, or Tryggvi? Tryggvi. What year did the Chernobyl disaster occur? 1984, 1986, or 1988? 1986. What was the primary objective of the Lewis and Clark expedition? To map the western territories of the US. In which city did the Impressionist movement begin? London, New York, or Paris? Paris. Who wrote the Symphonie Fantastique? Ludwig van Beethoven, Hector Berlioz, or Johannes Brahms? Hector Berlioz. Which artist painted The Birth of Venus? Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, or Sandro Botticelli? Sandro Botticelli. In which city was the Bauhaus School founded? Weimar. What year was the Sistine Chapel ceiling completed? 1508, 1512, or 1516? (1512). What year did the Louvre Museum in Paris open? 1793, 1812, or 1850? (1793). Who was the first female Nobel Prize winner? Marie Curie, Rosalind Franklin, or Ada Lovelace? Marie Curie. What was the significance of the Rosetta Stone? It was a key to deciphering Egyptian hieroglyphs. Name the queen of ancient Egypt who had a relationship with Julius Caesar. Nefertiti, Hatshepsut, or Cleopatra VII? Cleopatra VII. Leonardo da Vinci is known for painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling. True or false? False. What was the name of the famous Greek philosopher who taught Alexander the Great? Aristotle. What famous structure was built to honor Emperor Hadrian? The Pantheon, the Forum, or the Colosseum? The Pantheon. In which city did the famous 1969 moon landing mission launch? Washington, D.C., Cape Canaveral, or Houston? Cape Canaveral. Which ancient civilization built the city of Teotihuacan? The Maya, the Zapotecs, or the Aztecs? The Aztecs. Name the trade route connecting the East and West during ancient times. The Incense Route, the Amber Road, or the Silk Road? The Silk Road. Which ancient Greek historian wrote histories often regarded as the first work of history in Western literature? Herodotus, Thucydides, or Xenophon? Herodotus. Which 20th century event is considered the start of the modern environmental movement? The first Earth Day in 1970. Which 19th century inventor is credited with inventing the telephone? Nikola Tesla, Thomas Edison, or Alexander Bell? Alexander Bell. Which event led to the War on Terror? The London bombings, the 9/11 attacks, or the Madrid train bombings? The 9/11 attacks. What major discovery in 1974 provided insight into ancient Chinese history? The Terracotta Army, the Dead Sea Scrolls, or the Rosetta Stone? The Terracotta Army. What was the primary purpose of the Pony Express established in 1860? Carrying passengers to the East Coast, delivering mail across the US, or transporting gold from California? Delivering mail across the US. What was the primary focus of the welfare state reforms introduced in the United Kingdom after World War II? Social Security and Healthcare. Thank you for playing. Drop your score in the comments, and please like and subscribe if you want to be notified for the next quiz videos and have more fun on quiz time.